to the Volley Dome of IPFW, where the 11th ranked IPFW Mastodons take on the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee Panthers. This is their fourth conference match this year. They are 3-0 as it stands right now, leading the MIVA conference. This is Lauren Jeebert alongside with Colin Leiter calling tonight's shots. Welcome, Colin.
Thanks, Lauren. We could see a lot of players see action tonight. This is the first varsity year for the Panthers, and so far in the previous meetings, the Volleyball have handled them quite easily.
Yes, beating them 3-0 each match. Another thing that's not going to help the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee very well is one of their starters, Todd Balistreri, missed the bus, and he's not here tonight. They just decided to leave him.
Well,
you know of another coach that does that too, don't you, Colin?
Coach Ball has been known to do that also. In fact, we left one in the parking lot one time in our very first year. His women's team was getting ready to leave from the campus here, and one of the players fell asleep waiting in her car. Coach Ball said it's time to go. We got in the van and we left.
No time to wait. Here are the MIVA standings so far. The IPFW in first with a 3-0 record, defeating Ohio State this past Wednesday, then Ball State the previous Wednesday, and University of Wisconsin. Ohio State in second with a 1-1 record. Ball State in third with a 1-2 record, and then the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee in fourth place with a 0-2. So it's first going against fourth tonight.
And this could be the matchup for the MIVA tournament at the end of the season, because regular season play only serves to seed the teams for the final tournament, which will be held at Ball State this coming April.
And the winner of that tournament will advance to the NCAA Final Four in Hawaii, which would be a nice trip for the Volleyball. Their first time ever in an NCAA Final Four. And not far from their grasp, being 3-0, and tonight, I like to sound optimistic. Hopefully go 4-0.
Welcome to the IPFW.
So far, the Volleyball have only lost one conference game all year. That was to Ohio State last Wednesday. They beat Ball State in 3. They beat Wisconsin-Milwaukee in 3, and they lost one game to Ohio State. So we'll see if they can keep their streak alive.
We'll go down courtside with our announcer, Mark Banger, who will announce the starting lineups.
From Greenfield, Wisconsin, number 3, Gary Tome. A 6'1" junior from Orlando, Florida, number 7, Jason Bean. A 6'4" sophomore from West Dallas, Wisconsin, number 14, Mark Caratu. A 6'3" sophomore from South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, number 17, Scott Netzel. A 6'5" senior from Madison, Wisconsin, number 18, Scott Johnson. And the captain for UWM, a 6-foot junior from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, number 4, Joe Lynch. The head coach for the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee is Tom Pleedy. And now the starting lineup for your IPFW Volleyball. A 6'4" freshman from Yaco, Puerto Rico, number 3, Norman Almodovar. A 6'3" junior from Minneapolis, Minnesota, number 8, Tom Junkie. A 6'2" sophomore from Quigas, Puerto Rico, number 9, Raul Papaleo. A 6'9" freshman from Woodburn, Indiana, number 10, Loy Ball. A 6'4" senior from Albuquerque, New Mexico, number 15, Fred Malcolm. And the captain of the Dons, a 6'4" senior from Belleville, Illinois, number 14, Tony Lune. IPFW is coached by Arnie Ball. He is assisted by Dennis Johnson. And now, ladies and gentlemen, will you please join Miss Kathy Dunwitty in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, we're ready to start.
Have a fine crowd here tonight, just like for last night's match against Tri-State. Getting some good interest in the Dons this year. Hope they can come out, support the team, and hopefully the team will show them something tonight again.
Used to be where we'd get big crowds just for the Ball State, Ohio State, or the California teams coming in, and now we're getting nice-sized crowds for every home match. Volleyball have a real nice following, as you mentioned.
The officials are ready to begin this match. The up official will be Dan Brandt. The down official will be Robert Michael. Two experienced officials. Shouldn't have any problem tonight.
IPFW won its fourth straight match last night at home against Tri-State. With Quentin Popcorn Spiegel led the Dons with 8 kills and 10 attempts as the Dons coasted to a 15-0, 15-4, 15-7 win. But nice to get all 15 players in last night. They all got a chance to play. I think we'll see a lot of faces tonight also.
Right. In the 3 games played last night, I think Coach Ball used 3 different starting lineups. So.
And we have Joe Lynch for University serving the ball into the net. Volleyball, the freshman for IPFW, serving. Big block by Fred Malcolm. That's going to put the Dons on the scoreboard, leading 1-0 over the Panthers.
Coach Pleady's got a young team out there. They come out, they have a lot of fun. They're not going to get down.
There we see that kill. 18, Scott Johnson. An interesting story about Scott Johnson. You and I got a chance to talk to Coach Tom Pleady before the match. He has played 4 years of varsity basketball for the University of Wisconsin before playing volleyball. He's out there having a good time.
Fred Malcolm pounds one down the front of the Panther block for a side out. That's right. Coach Pleady has mentioned that being a senior, fifth-year senior, he's brought a lot of good leadership to this young team.
One-handed set out to Tome, and he gets a kill. Nice save by Joe Lynch. Here's a replay. See, Lloyd just can't get to that ball.
Got dug in just a little too deep.
Scott Netzel, 6'3" sophomore. Coach Pleady says with a 36-inch vertical. Tome high over the block, rolls, staying deep. Junkie out of the back court. Nice coverage by Ball, out to Moldovar. And he hits that one off of Lynch. Side out goes to IPFW.
Poly Dons are executing pretty well right now. Passing pretty well, making some good coverage plays.
The All-American Fred Malcolm serving. Out to Gary Tome. Papaleo, Ball, out to Looning. Tip, kill.
Good choice that time by Tony. Realized tight set, couldn't do a whole lot with it, just tipped it to the hole.
Set looked a little tight. Lynch to Karatu, and he hits that one long. IPFW leads game 1, 3-0 over new team in the conference. Second option play, Almodovar puts that one away. Great set by Volleyball.
Those guys are going to work all night against this young team. They really don't know how to communicate on their blocks and the switch and see that cross coming. So those young middle blockers of the Panthers are going to be jumping on that one ball. So that second option coming around is going to be open a lot tonight.
The College Cable Access Program Guide provides information about our programming, including our monthly sports programming. To receive your free Channel 6 program guide, send your name, address, and zip code to College Cable Access Center at IPFW, Fort Wayne, Indiana, 46805-1499. Or give us a call at 481-6582.
Fred Malcolm back to serve for the Dons, leading 4-0 here in game 1.
Set to Karatu, second option play. Colin, do you want to explain what we mean by when we say second option?
The second option is with the multiple offense that teams run, by running the one ball or the quick set, and then having another player on an equally, or on just not quite as quick a set. The teams have 3 front row players that can attack the ball, and each coming for a different set at a different speed. You have your various options. There was the first option with Tom Junkie hitting the one ball out of the middle.
Tom Junkie doing a very nice job this year. He's got a 35% hitting percentage, and that's excellent. Roy Ball out to Tony Looning. Set was way inside, but Tony uses the block to his advantage, which a lot of people sometimes forget. The block's not there just to block balls, but it's for the hitters to use.
Norman serves him in the net, giving the Panthers a side out.
Number 3, Gary Tome, 6'1" sophomore out of Greenfield, Wisconsin. And Loy Ball tips that one wide. That puts the Panthers on the scoreboard. They trail the Dons 5-1 in game 1. Tome still to serve.
Jump serve is just long, side out to the Dons. Tony Looning back to serve, captain for the Dons.
Tome with a nice pass to Lynch. Karatu sends that one off of Fred Malcolm.
Panthers are doing a real good job passing right now. They're able to get the ball up there and run the various options.
Mark Karatu, a 6'4" sophomore out of West Allis, Wisconsin.
Fred Malcolm out of the back row. Off the block and falling in. Side out to the Dons.
West Allis, Wisconsin, a familiar name, as former All-American Jay Goldstein is from West Allis.
Tom Junkie serving again for the Dons, leading 6-1 here in game number 1.
And Netzel using that vertical, and he tips one over Fred Malcolm. The Dons weren't quite ready to pick up that ball in the center of the court.
Coach Pleedy was saying he's got some young players out there with a lot of physical talent. They can really get off the floor. They just don't have the experience to hang tough with some of the traditional rivals here in the MIVA.
Papaleo to ball. Malcolm off the block, and Lynch is there. A missed set by Jason Bean. That's going to give a side out to the Dons, and Loy Ball back to serve.
Loy Ball moving pretty well today after spraining his ankle in last night's match.
Netzel tries to tip past Malcolm again, but he's there outside to Johnson. The basketball player turned volleyball. He puts that one away. Nice swing by Scott.
Still waiting to see the Johnson six-pack.
That's a very unfamiliar shot in the game where you hit the ball into the block, it comes back, and you six-pack yourself. Actually, hits right back in the face.
Coach Pleedy was saying that he's used that shot many times this year.
Papaleo serving for IPFW. Lynch to Tone, he tips it. Volleyball's there, pops it up nicely. Junkie, he's there. Using a lot of quick attacks by IPFW, but the Panthers playing great defense. Send a free ball. Junkie. Again, another quick attack. Gary Tome out to Scott Johnson. Tony Rooney cobras that one out of the court. It's a tough set.
Wasn't quite ready for that set from Norman. Just tried to poke it over, poked it out of bounds.
Netzel serving for the Panthers. Papaleo sends one up, and it's outside the antenna. That's going to be a point for the Panthers. They close the gap a little bit. Game one is IPFW 6, University of Wisconsin 2.
Serve is well long, side out to the Volleyball. Fred Malcolm will serve now. Let's see if Fred can get a good, tough serve in right now. They need to get something going right here.
Johnson to Lynch, and Tome throws it over, but ball's there. Out to Tony. And that one's blocked wide. Nice high shot by Tony. Much better set that time, so he had something to work with.
Fred Malcolm serving again for the Dons.
There's a second option play. Johnson sets it out to Gary Tome. Free ball pass by Tony. Back set to Norman.
Max one is drilled down for another point for the Dons. Makes it 8-2.
Here we see that last play. Great free ball pass. Lloyd Ball can do anything he wants. Off Tony Mooning, Scott Johnson.
The ex-basketball player turned volleyball player.
Yeah, we see a very experienced shot. We're using the block to his advantage again. Tom Junkie, the Iceman, doesn't make a lot of mistakes out there offensively. He's a very big threat. There you see, putting it away. One big reason Tom is so effective is everybody keys on the play of Fred Malcolm and the other outside hitters.
You see a big block put up by Tom Junkie and Roy Ball. Another point for the Dons. They lead 9-2 here in game one.
Coach Bleedy is going to call timeout number 2. I'm sure he's telling his team right now, if they play consistent ball and get a little fired up, there's no reason why they can't come back and give IPFW a decent game here.
Tune in to Channel 6 this Sunday evening at 7 p.m. to watch taped replays from February 16th's women's and men's basketball games. At 7 o'clock, the Lady Dons meet the Bells of Bellarmine College. And at 9 o'clock, the Knights of Bellarmine College challenge the IPFW Mastodons in Great Lakes Valley Conference action. That's right here on Channel 6 this Sunday evening, beginning at 7 o'clock.
Norman Almodovar to serve. Freshman from Puerto Rico. Norman sets Tony, and he uses the block again. The assist by Norman. He has some very nice hands. He gets that ball out of his hands very quickly.
Good reactions that time by Tony to get off the net to play that dump.
Again, we're almost seeing an instant replay there. And Tom Junkie uses the net and bloops over. Kills the kill. All it has to do is hit the wood.
Norman back to serve again. Going to use the jump serve this time.
Gary Tome saw him look at the blockers to see where he could hit. The defense is right there. Malcolm out of the backcourt puts that D ball away, or blue ball.
Great set that time by Volleyball.
Coach Ball has 3 hitting positions out of the backcourt. It's a red, white, and blue. The blue being the right side, white being in the middle, and red being the left side. That way it's less confusing. You start getting 4 positions out there, then it gets a little confusing.
That's right. Each play, the Dons have a designated back row attacker, and he's either going to call where he wants it to set or where he wants to hit from, or occasionally Lloyd Ball will designate where he's going to set that player.
So Norman with a service ace. Backcourt attacker by number 6, Jason Hedistikin. Norman still serving. He'll serve for game number 1. Outside, Kevin Beck. They say it was 4 hits, but we're going to give the block to Kevin Beck, the Fort Wayne sophomore.
Either way, that's point 15 and game number 1 to the Dons. They lead this match 1-0.
As we saw, the Dons coming out very quickly using the quick attack. I would say a high percentage of their sets went to the middle. And Tom Junkie and Fred Malcolm getting a lot of swings tonight.
That's right. Using that experience they have in the middle, going against the inexperience of the Panthers.
We're going to take
advantage of it.
Take a look at that last play in game 1 that won it for the Dons. Here we see it. Set out. Kevin just sets up nicely. He's there. Dan Brandt calls 4 hits.
Looked like that ball was going to fall anyway, so we will give that block stuff to Kevin.
So if the Dons continue to win the next 2 games, in their last 5 matches, they have only lost 1 game, that being to Ohio State on Wednesday, where they won the match 3-1.
Yeah, that game they lost was the first game of the match, so they came back and won the next 3. So actually they won 12 games in a row here. So let's see if they can make it. Well, that last game makes it 13. Let's see if they can make it 15 at the end of the night.
As we mentioned, we should see some young faces come into IPFW's lineup, as we did last night against another first-year varsity team in Tri-State. Coach Dave Signs there in Angola, working the same as Coach Tom Pleady, just to get them going, play IPFW, play Ball State, play Ohio State. They're going to take their licks, but you need to play those teams to get better. And very enthusiastic coach, Tom Pleady, as we got to talk to him before the match.
Yes, and one of the nice things about both those programs at Tri-State and here at Wisconsin-Milwaukee is they're getting backed up by their athletic departments. A lot of interest being shown by the athletic departments of both those schools in getting these programs started. They're seeing what it's done for the reputation of IPFW in the community, and they're hoping to copy that example in their own areas.
All right, 10 seconds left before we start game 2. We see some shots of the crowd. They bring the young ones, the old ones. Anybody comes out to the Volley Dome and watches your favorite men's collegiate volleyball team. Norman Moldovar ranks 11th in the nation with a 0.4 service aces per game through matches of February 25th. He's doing a nice job serving. And then IPFW is 4-0 against the unranked unranked competition.
That's right. Part of their ranked foes this year included number 1 ranked USC, which they took a game from. One of only 2 games, I believe, USC has lost all year was here at the Volleyball.
Says a lot for this team. Volleyball serving for IPFW. It's set out to Scott Johnson. He rolls it over the top, but Junkie's there. Ball out to Papaleo. Tome with a nice dig, right on target. Scott Johnson, big block with Malcolm and Neil Day into the lineup for the Mastodons.
Neil Day replacing Norman Almaldivar in the lineup. Neil's an enthusiastic young player, and he's a lot of fun to watch.
Puts up a big wall right there. It's daytime.
2 in a row for Neil Daytime Day.
Very fun player, Neil Day. He's fun to play with, fun to watch.
Off the top of the block, Tony Looning's there.
Bean hits high. Fred Malcolm with the back one. Rattles that between the legs of Joe Lynch. Again, we see the quick offense in IPFW getting ready, getting prepared to play some West Coast teams next week. Scott Johnson, again, Neil Day and Fred Malcolm. Papaleo with the deflect block. Net violation. Neil Day is in the net. Side out will go to University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. As I just mentioned, March 9th, IPFW takes off on our spring break trip out west. They start the week off with Brigham Young. They're going to play foes like USC, San Diego State.
Top-ranked competition on that trip. The Panthers showing some good defense on that last play, keeping the ball alive.
Great pass by Malcolm. Nice dig by Jason Bean. Sent over. Free ball outside. Malcolm hits that one wide. There you see why it's nice to get that middle established. You get the middle, you jump, the middle blocker jumps with your middle hitter, and it's one-on-one outside. Fred just hit that one out. Overpass, Scott Johnson puts it away.
That's going to tie this ball game up at 3. IPFW jumped out to a quick 3-0 lead. The Panthers have come back with 3 of their own.
Out to Fred Malcolm. And he blasts that one off of Bean. It's going to side out. It's going to go to IPFW. And assist by Lloyd Ball.
Raul Papaleo back to serve for the Dons.
Out of Cages, Puerto Rico. He's a 6'2 sophomore. Next 2 years are going to be fun to watch him play. Overpass. The Dons take advantage. They've been working hard on that shot.
Neil Day getting in for the first time tonight. Wants those overpasses. He and Fred up there contending for it.
Raul serves that one in the net. It's going to go to number 17, Scott Netzel, to serve for the Panthers. Tony's there. He passes up to Lloyd. Quick attack again. Fred Malcolm puts it away.
Had 2 players going for the quick attacks. Blockers really didn't know which ones they were going to. Lloyd Ball picked the right one, and Fred put it down.
We're not only seeing the quick attack, we're seeing a double quick of IPFW, a front and back one. Tony Looning having trouble. Dan Brandt calls that one outside the antenna. Tony doesn't like the call, but the side out goes to Scott Johnson, University of Milwaukee.
Maybe from the effects of last night's sprained ankle, it didn't look like Lloyd Ball was moving to that too quickly.
Watch him play. He's limping a little bit, but that's set. You don't need to limp much to give it to Malcolm to put it away. Looks like Fred and Lloyd are connecting much better in the middle. That was trouble when Fred first moved into the middle, but it looks really nice right now.
He's really been effective tonight against the Panthers.
Outside to Looning. High off the block. There's a touch. It's going to give a point to the Volleyball. They take the lead 5-3 over the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Here's that last play. Lloyd pops it up. Raul steps in. There you go, off the block. Scott Netzel didn't appear that he knew it hit the block.
Big dig by Johnson.
There it goes. Lloyd with a dump. Lloyd's got the defense pretty much wondering where he's going to go next. He's got the middle established well. Outside hitters are blasting, and then he throws that one down.
IPFW is passing really well tonight, so he's got a lot of options.
That ball's hit wide. IPFW leads game 2, 6-3. 7-3, and Coach Tom Pleady will call a timeout.
Right now, the Volleyball are playing extremely well as far as controlling the ball on their side of the net. Their passes are up on target. Lloyd Ball's able to just run to one position and expect the ball to come right there. And when you can do that, you're going to have all your options available, and you're going to be able to get your blockers or your hitters one-on-one with the opposing blockers, and it's going to be an easy night for them.
The next live sports event on Channel 6 will be telecast this coming Thursday evening, March 7th. Join us for exciting men's basketball action when the Flyers from Lewis University travel to Fort Wayne for a GLVC game with the IPFW Mastodons. That's this coming Thursday evening at 8 o'clock, right here on Channel 6. Joe Lynch with a dump of his own. Malcolm out of the back court, rolls one to the middle.
Great off-speed shot by Fred that time.
Defense for the Panthers back on their heels a little bit. Fred's been blasting some one balls. That time he took something off, and they weren't ready for it. Nice pass. Gary Tome, the high middle set. Tom Junkie and Tony Looning put it together and give IPFW point number 9.
That high middle set's not going to work too often against a team of the caliber of IPFW.
Number 14, Mark Caratu. You saw in the beginning of game 1, he was very effective when they pass the ball and give it to him. He does a nice job tooling the block.
Gary Tome serving for the Panthers.
Tom Junkie tools him right back.
Substitution for the Volleyball, number 11.
Into the Volleyball lineup. Number 11, Juan Ortiz. In for number 14, Tony Looning. Juan will be back to serve for the Dons.
Giving Tony Looning a rest. Tony has a slight hamstring pull and needs to conserve his injury conserve his healthiness for the West Coast teams next week.
Joe Lynch is set on that last one. A little off the mark. Falls in.
Lynch with a nice dump. Caratu sets it back to Lynch. Over the top of the block, and Neil Day kind of sends that one the wrong way. It's going to be a side out for the Panthers. And Mark Caratu, the 6'4" sophomore out of West Dallas, will serve. He will not serve.
Jason Hestican will come into the Panther lineup to serve for Caratu.
Papaleo to Vloy, out to Papaleo. And he puts that one down. Not seeing a lot of flashy hits out of Raul just because of the fact we're seeing so many middle attacks.
That's right. His hitting's really come on starting a couple weeks ago with that Ball State match. His hitting's really stepped up a notch.
Here we see the spark plug for the Mastodon. Mike Steiner. Mike against Ohio State came in and did a great job digging some balls, and he set the match-winning point.
Mike back to serve again.
Very disciplined player. He'll stay where he needs to on defense. Great block by the Dons. Out to Lynch. Malcolm with a great pass to ball, and Neil Day putting that one away. It's going to put IPFW ahead 12-3 over the Panthers.
Larry Fulgari into the IPFW lineup, replacing the captain, number 15, Fred Malcolm.
Larry being the only left-handed hitter on IPFW. That's really going to confuse Wisconsin a little bit. Juan Ortiz. Larry tosses that one over. Big block by Neil Day. Papaleo with a nice free ball pass. Backcourt to Fulgari. Great dig by Scott Johnson. Lynch puts it over, and Mike Steiner with the free ball pass. Fulgari out of the backcourt again. Hits that one wide. Had a little rally going there.
Yeah, getting some good defense on both sides of the net.
The last play, there you see. It's wide by a good few feet. Raul with a nice pass in the 31 set to Neil Day. That set is very nice. It's like a one ball, and it's about 3 feet away from the setter.
And we have a timeout by the Panthers. IPFW leads in game 2, 12-3. This best 3 out of 5 game match.
We'll be right back after this message.
I'm Christy Powell.
And I'm Rex Crum, and we're the hosts of Take One.
Join us each week as we review 3 new movies.
And we'll let you know whether the movies are worth your viewing dollars. So join us here on Take One.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're live at the Volleyball on the IPFW campus in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The IPFW Mastodons playing against the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Here we see some of your players, Colin. Some women's volleyball players.
Yes, out here supporting the team, doing a little work, keeping stats, running some of the video cameras, and keeping track of the balls during the match. The men will reciprocate that in the fall when our women's Dons take the court.
Free ball over to the Dons. Let's see what they do with it. Kevin Beck now in there running the show. And Neil Day planting a seed on the side of Wisconsin.
He's really excited about that. Here we see it again.
It's a great set by Kevin Beck. He's really turned it on. Kevin Beck with the jump serve. Tome having a tough time handling Lynch. Back to Bean. Bean out to Johnson. Tip at Kevin Beck's air. One ball. That one hit wide. Kevin Beck playing some incredible defense. It's getting the crowd on their feet. They like to see the young players come in and play well. Here we see the last. And that one, good call by Bonnie Gill.
Kevin Beck serving really well.
Another free ball to the Dons. And that's going to go to IPFW in game 2, 15-3 over Wisconsin-Milwaukee. The young players coming in off the bench, doing a nice job for IPFW.
That's right. This crowd really appreciates their effort. When these young players come in here, get a chance to play, they want to show what they've got, why they should be in the starting lineup more often. Against teams like the Panthers here that are young and inexperienced, they're going to get their chances to play and show what they can do.
It's a very educated crowd. They like to see some good volleyball, not just volleyball in particular. They watching top-ranked volleyball. Right now we have a little serving contest about ready to go underway. We'll draw a name, and that person will get 3 chances to put the ball through the hoop at the under end of the court. The first chance being for a car, second for $5,000, and the third for $2,500.
A couple weeks ago we saw some very good attempts. That's a tough play to serve through. And we saw one contestant hit the frame.
Kathy Humbrecht is our fortunate server. She is the mother of one of my players at Carroll High School, Carrie Humbrecht. She looks a little bit too embarrassed to serve.
Getting a little razzing from her fans. Trying to build up some enthusiastic support. Oh.
Swing and a miss on the first one.
That one got a little bit farther.
She gets one more try for $2,500. I think she's hustling. Let's watch this one go right through, Colin.
That's right. Oh.
Yes.
Crowd very appreciative of the effort. Talk about getting the reserves into the match here. In the last few games, the reserves for IPFW have combined for a .358 hitting percentage, while the starters are attacking at a .266 clip. We're going to take a quick break here for a public service message from Channel 6.
There seems to be a very increasing problem in this country and in our country, and in fact all over the world, of kids and young adults abusing drugs and just taking things for no good apparent reason. Channeling your energies into something more positive. It doesn't go anywhere. Please listen, okay?
All right, we're back live at IPFW. We're getting ready to start game number 3. IPFW taking on the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. They won games 2 by the scores of 15-2 and 15-3. Not having a real tough time this evening, but getting a lot of new faces in there and keeping the crowd entertained tonight.
As we see some new faces take the court for the Volleyball in this third game. Number 13, Jimmy Grand out there. Number 1, Kevin Beck will be setting for this group. He came in and did a fine job in the end of game 2. Number 7, Quentin Spiegel's going to be playing in this third game.
He led the team last night in kills.
And Danny Snopko, 6'6" junior out of Horlick, Racine, Wisconsin, getting to play against some of his fellow Wisconsinians.
So far, we've seen some real nice defense out of the Panthers. They have to be pleased with digging quite a few balls and blocking some balls. Kevin Beck out to Larry Folgeri. Off the block, and Scott Johnson. Watt kind of confused him a little bit.
That left hand is able to pull that set back into the court. A little bit wide on the set by Kevin Beck.
Juan Ortiz to serve. Out to Scott Johnson. He's a little early on his approach, but he puts it away nonetheless. Kevin Beck getting caught back into the corner a little bit.
Jason Bean back to serve for the Panthers. Gonna try the jump serve.
He's the only player on the team of University of Wisconsin that is from outside of Wisconsin. He's from Orlando, Florida. Going from one extreme to the other, warm to cold. Johnson with a nice pass. Gary Tone, Larry Folgeri puts that one back into the face of Gary Tone.
Larry did a nice job of turning that in here. You see it on the replay.
Great job with his hands turning into the middle of the court. Johnson, Quentin Spiegel answers right back by turning his left hand in instead of the right.
Got to reach over the net and force everything back into the center of the court when you're blocking. Jimmy Grant continuing to serve.
Tome, Quentin Popcorn Spiegel puts it up.
Panthers keep it alive.
And another dig by Q.
Snopper with the one ball out of the middle. Great passes that time by Quentin Spiegel, digging 2 tough shots by the Panthers.
Jimmy Grant back to serve for the Volleyball. Jim puts up a high floater down the line, and it just misses. It's going to be a side out to the Panthers. They're trailing IPFW in game 3, 3-0. Tomorrow night, University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee travels northward to play Tri-State University.
A couple teams that have faced each other earlier.
Quentin Spiegel blasts that one off the block.
Quentin's got very long arms, and he's learning to reach very high, hit that ball off the top of the hands.
Folgeri out of Liverpool, New York. Serves IPFW their 4th point. He'll go back to serve for point 5. Coach Ball really high on Larry. He's got some great potential.
Mark Caratu throws the one ball down out of the middle. Here we see it again. Good pass up.
Lynch going to him. Lynch doing a real nice job getting to the ball and setting his hitters. Kevin Beck out of the backcourt is Folgeri. And there you see why Coach Ball likes the way Larry plays. Q back to serve. Lynch throwing that one over, but Ortiz is there. But he didn't have time to get out and make a good approach, so he hits that one in the middle of the net.
Possibly not a good choice by Kevin on that set, as after Juan passed that set in the center of the court, didn't have time to get back to the outside to take a good approach to hit the ball.
Little miss set just by inches to Dan Snopko. He misses the back one. Point goes to the University of Milwaukee. Ortiz with a quick pass. It's back to him. Off the block. Jim Grant's there for the coverage. Beck gives it back to Juan. Off the block and out. Side out goes to IPFW.
Good job by Jimmy Grant that time. He's in the correct position. See right there to make the coverage on the first block.
And Juan, there we see Lynch not turning his hands into the court, and we see what happens. Mark Caratu plants that one down. Very nice job out of number 14 tonight by the Panthers.
Coach Pleady is very high on this young man. Got a lot of athletic ability, hits the ball really hard as you just saw. Just needs to get some playing time, get some experience.
The Panthers pass the ball well. That guy right there is very effective. Kevin Beck throws that one down. Kevin Beck is a 6'1" freshman out of Fort Wayne. Graduated from Concordia High School. He's the backup setter to Loy. He's been watching and learning from Loy Ball. Big block by Jim Grant. Tome back set. Little miscommunication. Jim Grant, number 13, into the net for IPFW.
Got a little too aggressive on that last one. When you see the tip coming, sometimes the best idea is to pull your hands down and just let the back row players play it.
Juan Ortiz getting blocked. Quentin Spiegel gives it back to him. Scott Johnson going down a little bit too early. I think he was afraid that he was going to dive into his fellow players.
A little miscommunication. Somebody's got to be aggressive and go get that ball.
Something that you shouldn't worry about when you're out there playing. Dive into him. Lift called. Point, IPFW, and they lead game 3, 5-1 over the Panthers. Juan Ortiz still serving. Bean with a nice pass. Middle not there for the Panthers. Out to Spiegel. Lynch is there, and it's out to Scott Johnson. Spiegel, I can count 4 digs so far for that man.
Doing a great job keeping the ball alive on both sides.
Big block by Jim Grand and Quentin Spiegel. 2 East Coast players bringing their big block to the Midwest.
Crowd appreciative of IPFW winning that long rally.
Out to Scott Johnson. Nice high shot off the hands.
Ball played at the scorer's desk by our spotter, Jana Plummer.
Spiegel with a nice pass to Beck. A back one to Jim Grand. Juan Ortiz steps in and sets Spiegel, who snake shots one inside the 10-foot line.
What a great angle on that shot.
Quentin gets up very high. He can put his palm on top of the antenna. Great snake shot. And there, the other leaper, Scott Netzel. He puts that one away.
Netzel will be back to serve for the Panthers.
Ortiz, nice pass to Beck. One ball to Snopko. Dan Snopko hitting some very hard balls last night against Tri-State. Continuing to do so tonight.
Larry Fulgeri with a nice serve.
Karatu blasts that one into the bench.
We have a substitution for the Volleyball. Number 4, Paul Springop for Larry Fulgeri.
Paul's out of Cedar Grove, Wisconsin. Again, I'm sure he's anxious to play against his fellow Wisconsinian.
See Paul back to serve. Quentin with the nice penetrating stuff block there.
The Kong block. Springop still serving for the Volleyball. They lead game 3, 8-1. Scott Johnson doing a nice job passing the short serve. Mark Karatu hits that one long. They want to touch, but they're not going to get it. So a point goes to IPFW, 9-1. Paul Springop still serving.
Nice job by the Dons, staying back in their base defense on that last play.
Out to Karatu, their strong hitter. Paul Springop's there. Beck and Dan Snopko, excuse me, Dan. But I think it should go the other way, not into the feet.
Here we see it again. Nice play by Paul. And Dan, he tries to plant it in the bleachers.
Second option play. Spiegel high off the block. Great hustle by the Panthers.
Jason Bean couldn't quite get back, bring that ball back into play. Side out to the Dons. Quentin Spiegel back to serve.
Out to Karatu. Jim Grand's there with a great pass up to Dan Snopko, and he puts that one away.
The Wisconsin connection.
Putting it together, making Coach Pleady call a timeout. Game 3, IPFW 10, University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee 1. This is the best 3 out of 5 game match. After tonight's match, Colin and myself get the pleasure of picking the Glenbrook Dodge Hyundai Player of the Game. And college will be down courtside interviewing our Player of the Game. And we see a fan bringing the cameras, getting the shots.
The Dons have gotten quite a following this year. Great to see this gym fill up. Back in my playing days, it was parents and some good friends that would show up to the matches. Now we're getting a good following from the Fort Wayne community coming out to see the excitement of Volleyball action.
Popcorn Spiegel brings out the jump serve. Caratu high with the block. Mike Steiner. He's set outside. Mike Steiner off the block is going to get a point. He's the spark plug for this team.
Normally a back row specialist.
Great pass. Make sure he passes it off so he's assured of the set. Quentin, nice jump serve. Paul Springob, nice dig. It's going back to the Panthers. The quick attack. Mike Steiner's there.
Paul Springob catching the bottom of the net.
And I believe Dan Brandt. Yes, he is going to call a lift on Paul. Gary Tone back to serve. Mike Steiner, a little tight pass. And Mark Caratu's there. It's going to give the Panthers point number 2.
Mike getting a little excited. Got to take a little bit off that pass. Keep it back off the net.
Mike did an extremely nice job passing against the Panthers last time they met.
Caratu, the 31 set out of the middle, puts it back in the corner. Point number 3 for the Panthers.
Tome still serving. Goes right back after Steiner. He passes it right up there. Kevin Beck. And that one is hit wide. Another point goes to the University of Wisconsin. And they're slowly creeping their way back into game 3. Taking advantage of the younger players out there. Bean to Lynch. He rolls it over the top and Grand's there with an Aunt Jemima pancake play. And there's a one-handed play. And Lynch tries to go for hands. Doesn't get him.
Great hustling play on the part of the Dons that time. Keeping that ball alive. Some pancakes. Some good digs.
Dan Snopko serving. Nice pass. It's out to Bean. Kevin Beck there with a solo block.
Great job by Kevin that time. Dropping that inside hand, blocking it straight down along the net.
Kevin works very hard at practice, listening to Coach Ball and Dennis and myself, and honing his blocking skills. He's doing a real nice job. Caratu gets up high and goes over Mike Steiner. Mark Caratu will serve.
Oh, an ace serve.
Nice job. That ball dropped as it got towards the end line. That's what you want that ball to do, is float then drop. Great serve.
Got to stay with that ball all the way.
They're continuing to go after Mike Steiner. Lynch hitting high, but it's out again.
It's not going to get a much better set than that. Overpass right up on top of the net.
Volleyball right now in a 6-2 offense. Paul Springov in the front row now will hit. Kevin Beck, who goes back to serve, will be the setter. Out of the backcourt, Tone. And he finds the block and uses it.
We talk about a 6-2 offense. Those that don't realize what that is, it means you have 6 hitters and 2 setters. The setters are opposite in the lineup.
So that doesn't mean we have 8 players out there total. They just get to do both jobs. As we see Springov hitting there. Scotty Johnson off the block using the shorter blocker, Mike Steiner. We're seeing some intelligent playing by the Panthers. Here we see the setter setting over the shorter blocker. Mike with a nice pass. Good coverage. Springov back up. Beck sends a free ball. Bean's going to have to set out the... That's
Steiner. Mike Steiner with the tip and kill. Nice beach dig by Quentin Spiegel.
Here we see Steiner back to serve. Nice floating ball. Nice set. And Kevin Beck giving everything he has, but it one's dug wide. Jason Bean, 6'4", excuse me, a 6-foot junior out of Orlando, Florida, serving. Quentin, nice pass. And Jim Grant, fly away, cut back, one ball.
Nice set by Kevin.
Here we see the last play. Jimmy coming from the right side, floating past Kevin, and then cutting the ball back. Scott Johnson says, sorry, Jim, but got to get a side out for my team.
Showing some of that basketball ability that time. He can really get up off the floor.
Paul Springab tooling Scott Johnson.
Great shot by Paul. Comes from years of experience going up and tooling off the hands like that.
Netzel to Karatu, and Dan Snopko's all over it.
Makes it 13-6 here in game 3.
We see it. Dan's all over it.
Tight set. When you're 6'6", you can go up and put your hands all around that ball. Our Glenbrook Dodge Hyundai player of the game for tonight is Fred Malcolm. Came out in that first game and set the record straight, more or less, by pounding out of the middle.
Doing a very nice job hitting and playing defense. Hugh Spiegel, he's going to take care of the match and put that one away. IPFW wins the match 15-6. Game 1 they won 15-2, and game 2 15-3. Congratulations to IPFW winning their 5th straight match. That puts them at 9-4 overall and 4-0 in the MIVA conference in first place.
And here we go. We're going to have a replay of that last point. See the game winner put down for the Dons.
Congratulations.
Watch Take One, the movie review show produced by students at Washington State University.
Giving everything he has, but it one's dug wide. Jason Bean, 6'4", excuse me, a 6-foot junior out of Orlando, Florida, serving. Quentin, nice pass. And Jim Grant, fly away, cut back, one ball.
Nice set by Kevin.
Here we see the last play. Jimmy coming from the right side, floating past Kevin, and then cutting the ball back. Scott Johnson says, sorry, Jim, but got to get a side out for my team.
Showing some of that basketball ability that time. He can really get up off the floor.
Paul Springab tooling Scott Johnson.
Great shot by Paul. Comes from years of experience going up and tooling off the hands like that.
Netzel to Karatu, and Dan Snopko's all over it.
Makes it 13-6 here in game 3.
We see it. Dan's all over it.
Tight set. When you're 6'6", you can go up and put your hands all around that ball. Our Glenbrook Dodge Hyundai player of the game for tonight is Fred Malcolm. Came out in that first game and set the record straight, more or less, by pounding out of the middle.
Doing a very nice job hitting and playing defense. Hugh Spiegel, he's going to take care of the match and put that one away. IPFW wins the match 15-6. Game 1 they won 15-2, and game 2 15-3. Congratulations to IPFW winning their 5th straight match. That puts them at 9-4 overall and 4-0 in the MIVA conference in first place.
And here we go. We're going to have a replay of that last point. See the game winner put down for the Dons.
Congratulations also to Fred Malcolm, the player of the game, the Glenbrook Dodge Hyundai player of the game. That puts Wisconsin-Milwaukee at 5-7 overall, 0-3 in the MIVA, and that puts them in 4th place. IPFW Mastodons, they want that first place seed into the MIVA tourney at Ball State in April. If they should get first place and the Panthers get 4th place, they will meet again at Ball State. The winner of that play in the finals against either Ball State or Ohio State if things should not change from here on out. Right now out on the court, we're having an airplane contest. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Come back and join us.
Safety belt test at 9. Hurry.
Not another windshield taste test. Count me out.
What? The old pro backing down from a motorhome?
Nothing like that. I'm just tired of trying to convince people to wear safety belts. No one's listening.
Safety belt saved Barbara Mandrell.
You're right. Someone listen. Let's hit the road.
You hungry, partner?
Let's do some donuts on the way in.
Good idea.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
There was this guy, a nationally known sports hero. And then I got busted. As a result of my lust for cocaine,
I was totally out of control, and I didn't even realize it. That's what's crazy about cocaine. And I had a beautiful family, a big house in the suburbs, everything I wanted. Then I got into cocaine, and I almost lost it all.
I was crazy from cocaine. I couldn't live without it. That wasn't me. It was somebody else.
It's a lie that cocaine's not addictive. I didn't choose to be an addict. Quitting cocaine was... One night, my heart freaked out. I thought I was going to die. I risked my health, jail, and the people who love me.
Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about because you're taking the exact same ride.
Anyone tells you cocaine's not addictive, they lie.
Cocaine, the big lie. Call 1-800-662-HELP.
This is the new improved Robert Klein. I gave up smoking. Take care of your lungs. They're only human.
The American Lung Association, the Christmas seal people.
Their lives are fuller thanks to health care, water, and food provided by you and the Interfaith Hunger Appeal.
We're down here talking with our Glenbrook Dodge Hyundai player of the game, Fred Malcolm. Congratulations, Fred. Another nice win for the Volleyball.
Thank you.
After the last couple matches, you've had it pretty easy. Is that going to help you get regrouped in time for this big West Coast trip?
It does a lot right now for the morale of the team. We've got a chance to come together, get some confidence in our belt, play together, and get our timing down. So hopefully we come into practice next week, get things cranked up, and to go out for the West Coast.
How's the chemistry of the team coming along? I know at the beginning of the season, you guys were experimenting with a lot of new positions. Is everybody getting used to those positions now and feeling comfortable playing with each other?
I'd say yes to that. Right now, we had a long time where we stayed in the same position. We've had the same lineup now for a good 3 weeks. So I think the chemistry's come along real far. The timing's getting down with everybody. The hitting's getting a lot better, serving all around. So yeah, chemistry's getting real well.
Great. I guess with the win streak, it's 5 in a row now. Got to be gaining a little confidence to head into the tail end of the MIVA conference.
We're undefeated right now as far as conference goes, so that's always good. Go have a good trip on the West Coast, come back, finish out the conference strong, and hopefully we'll be there at the Final Four.
Okay, congratulations again, Fred. Another great win. Good luck on your West Coast trip, and good luck on your MIVA quest for the Final Four this year.
All right, thanks.
Now back up to you, Lauren.
Thank you, Colin, and congratulations, Fred, and the IPFW Mastodons, as they go to 4-0 in the conference. a first place lead so far over second place Ohio State, third place is Ball State, and fourth place is the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Thank you for joining us here at Channel 6 for tonight's match. And we look forward to broadcasting more live action in men's collegiate power volleyball for Colin Leiter. This is Lauren Jeevert saying so long.
The leatherback turtle, an endangered species, is the research subject of Frank Palladino from our biology department. Frank discovered, after he brought leatherback turtle eggs to this campus, that even in the apparent safety of his laboratory, the leatherback is endangered, this time by secondhand cigarette smoke. And so, in the interest of research, he's managed to do here what Everett Koop is trying to do for the rest of us. The leatherback turtle is a native of Latin America, and on another level, in another way, research done here is concerned with that area. Frank?
I'll try to dazzle you with pretty pictures because working with these animals is rather awesome. In the last 5 years or so here at IPFW, my research is centered on the works we have done down in Costa Rica on the leatherback turtle. If someone would please flick the projector on. And I guess I have a remote control for it here, or... All right, this is the National Park System of Costa Rica. As you've heard, Costa Rica is a very stable government and one that has been very, very far-sighted with respect to its use of land and its conservation practices, which is quite odd for a third world, new developing country. All the mustard-colored areas are national parks, which set aside 7% of their land mass as national parks. In comparison, in the United States, we have less than 1/10 of 1% of our land mass as national parks. So they're very progressive, and they also have taken advantage of this with respect to tourism. My work in the last few years is centered on the Caribbean coast in a small village called Tortuguero, which abuts one of the larger national parks, that's Tortuguero National Park, which extends for over 30 kilometers along the coastline. In the national park itself, there is no major development at all, and it has remained a pristine tropical rainforest, one of the few areas left in the world where that is true. The turtles, and there are 7 known species of sea turtles that are found worldwide, the largest of which being the leatherback, which can go up to 2,000 pounds. The ones we're working with in Costa Rica have weighed upwards of 1,000 pounds, and from the tip of their snout to the end of their tail, or caudal peduncle as it's called, these turtles range about 7.5 feet in length. So these are very much look like dinosaurs, and our supposition is that they've been around since the age of dinosaurs. Much of their physiology being reptilian should give us some insights into dinosaurs as well. Some of the other sea turtles are also in this figure here. This is an aerial photograph of Tortuguero. The only way to get to Tortuguero in any real fashion is by airplane and landing on the beach. Small plane. You're stuck on a small strip of land that's surrounded on one side by the waters of the Caribbean and the fresh water of the Rio Tortuguero, which is on the inward or inland side. You fly in, you contract with a private pilot, and he'll go out and look to see what the weather is, and then they'll fly you in and land you with all your equipment on a little sand dune along the edge of the beach. We were working at the Green Turtle Research Station, which is founded and has been run by the Caribbean Conservation Corporation, which was founded many years ago by Archie Carr, very preeminent biologist who really started much of the wave of world consciousness of what's happening to our oceans. His books, along with Rachel Carson books in the 50s, were award winners and ones that really started the ecological movements we see today for conservation. Here's the Green Turtle Research Station. You can see it's rather homey. Really all it is the old bunkhouse of a lumber company that used to lumber out this area. And you do have running water and indoor bathrooms, but that's about it. Our program has been funded a number of different ways by research grants from the National Geographic Society, the Caribbean Conservation Corporation, as well as your public tax monies in the National Science Foundation. However, we've also found a way to educate the public by running a vacation volunteer program where you as an individual can fly down and support yourself there while helping us out, assisting with the research. This program has been run for over 25 years, but is now starting to catch hold, and these work volunteer vacations are becoming very popular. Here's just a sample of some of the volunteers we've had down there, ranging from the publisher of Worth Publishing, which is the older gentleman in the back right-hand corner, to a truck driver from Hoagland, Indiana, who's in the green plaid shirt standing next to me. So we had a wide variety of people who came down firsthand, got a chance to see a number of endangered species, as well as get a chance to visualize and learn about how research is conducted and get a firsthand view of the tropical rainforests. This is the beach. It's a volcanic beach. As you walk along the sands here, you sink about 6 to 8 inches. And the turtles come up along this beach during the months of March and April to lay their eggs. This is the dry season. Here's a photograph of one of the turtles we started working with. They come up late at night, somewhere between 1 and 4 in the morning. They then will dig a hole about 3 feet deep using their rear flippers, and will then deposit about 100 eggs about the size of a tennis ball. One of the results of the studies we've done down there is that we have found that the sex of these turtles is determined by temperature, not by the X or Y chromosome, male-female chromosome, but by the temperature at which the eggs are incubated. This has very important implications for the conservation of these animals, because we have been practicing taking these eggs, removing them from their natural nest sites, putting them in areas where they will be hatched synthetically. However, those incubators tend to have constant temperatures. So all we know is that for the last 10 years of doing this, we've probably been dumping only one sex of turtle into the water and not having both sexes. And as we all are aware, you need both sexes to propagate the population. They then very arduously cover these nests up and disguise them. And afterward, we then would start doing some other physiological studies, including weighing and measure these animals, along with the help of the volunteers. You can see this work with 3 or 4 scientists would be very difficult if we didn't have a number of volunteers and warm bodies to help us manipulate these large animals out in the field. This is a diagram of some of the metabolic studies, physiological studies I've done, in which we found that these animals are fully capable of living in the very ice-cold waters of the North Atlantic. Quite odd for a cold-blooded reptile. We found that because of their large size, even their low metabolism as a reptile allowed them to do this. So this is another piece of information that gives us insights into dinosaurs and the very heated question as to whether dinosaurs were hot-blooded or not. And you can see that it's quite a task simply weighing these animals, catching them in a cargo net, and then raising them up with a crane scale. All of this has to be done on a beach in which there is no access. We have to carry all this equipment, so the volunteer program is very essential. We then come back to the luxurious laboratory which we have back and do the analysis of the work, the scientific work there. Our works have been published in some of the prominent journals in science, including the American Journal of Science, as well as Nature. So here at Fort Wayne, we do have valid and very good research going on in the science areas, as well as many other areas. We also started a hatchery, and this is to help to offset some of the poaching of the turtles that goes on here. This has got my finger in the way here, but that's a poached turtle. They will slice the turtle up on the beach as they come out. They're fairly defenseless, and grab the meat. You can see the eggs that have not been encased in the shell are still remaining inside the upper portion of the shell here. We also took on an education program. We went to the local school in the village of Tortuguero, which has the children from the surrounding 12 villages coming in. And we described the work we were doing, trying to explain the reasons why conservation is necessary. We also started a turtle festival, which, due to the attendance of Mrs. Arias at the time, has now become an annual event in which they celebrate the turtle in the way in which it has brought money and revenue into the system because of tourism, and also because of the fact that conservation of these turtles has brought worldwide recognition to the Costa Rican government. The little children were, of course, very interested with our instrumentation, and it was very difficult, again, first of all, to speak to them all in Spanish, but also to get it down to a level where the kids would enjoy it and understand the reason for conservation. We started a pilot project in which there's lots of garbage that washes up on this windward beach, plastic garbage, in which the children each month take another section of beach and remove the plastic. And then they go out the next month to survey how much has been returned, to try to get an estimate of how much plastic washes up on these beaches down there in Costa Rica. Another thing that we're looking at and having the children down there work on is the fact that these little pellets that look like styrofoam pellets are actually from the ballasting out of the oil tankers that go across the Caribbean. This is a real problem for the small juvenile turtles because it looks like the food item that they would eat. So they eat these little waxy pellets and will die from clogged stomachs due to these pellets accumulating. So the children and educating the public in Costa Rica the importance of conservation and the resources that they have, which are not found elsewhere in the world. These are all endangered, and the reason they're endangered is because their nesting sites are disappearing and because of development. We do find medical waste on these pristine beaches. Not just in New Jersey do we find hypodermic needles and plastic vials from medicines. Now, these plastic wastes are coming from their own refuse. They're in Spanish, so this is not American garbage washing up on the beaches of Costa Rica and Central America. So again, education and understanding that this is their problem, something that they will have to deal with, is important. And we've also, due to works from the National Geographic Society, have filmed much of this information, and it should be out in, my understanding, in about a year, with another film crew coming down with us in January, this coming January. I have also gone to the University of Costa Rica and given presentations there in Spanish, and I currently have one graduate student who will be working with us and training and finishing her master's degree in this work. This means that they will then be able to, on their own, develop their own graduate programs and produce their own students and work with the scientists from other countries. A lot of times as scientists we tend not to follow through and not to contact the people from foreign countries that we go to and work in. We tend to go in, do our work, and leave, nobody knowing what we have done. So it's good to include the local government as well as the local science community in the works you are involved in. And these are some of the graduate students who are working with us in the lab from Costa Rica. We have also started a botanical study in which we are also categorizing and cataloging my 10 minutes are up. That's what this is for. Cataloging a lot of the plants. And you can see that those efforts are arduous because there are many plants that are already endangered that we didn't even know existed previously. There are thousands more species of plants. And also educating the public on some of the other animals that are found there. The green iguana is definitely starting to disappear very, very rapidly, as well as some of these beautiful poisonous snakes, although many of us would not like to deal with them. And the typical Costa Rican who lives in these village huts, very beautiful inside. This place actually has electricity and running water in it. So they have a very simple life, but one that is very, very, I think, aesthetically pleasing, and one that is very well mixed in with nature.
Already 45 below zero.
What do you mean?
Way up,
Where?
way up north in Canada.
It is, and that'll the jet streams eventually bring that down.
That's going to eventually bring it down, because what we're seeing now is a jet stream is arcing up over the Pacific Northwest, and it's coming down into the central U.S.
Well,
and that's going to shift slightly to the east.
I wonder what that's going to do for heating oil.
That's going to be bullish.
That's one of the areas that
you're
you
bullish
like to
on
talk
heating
about.
oil, despite the fact we've already had a major rise.
Well, there's a reason for that rise.
So there's another one. All we need now is the winter to go along with maybe President Bush getting into it.
I would like to ask a question first of you, Bob. Best trade. You know, today's November 1st as we're taping, so most people see the show in the next 5 or 6 days. Best trade that'll carry him over the next 2 weeks to a month. What do you think?
I'm going to agree with Larry, and I believe that potentially soybeans is the best trade that's available over the next 2 to 3 weeks. I do time analysis also completely different from what Larry does, and have the same dates around November 15th, 16th is very important. So if the market would stay down right near the August lows, which it is now more or less in that area, and a very important support area, I would think it's potentially a very good buying opportunity with a stop just under those August lows, or under where the low is.
I subscribe to some services and get research from a number of services that do analysis based on computer models of different timing dates. What are the probabilities of a market dropping or rallying? And one of them, I don't mind giving them a plug, Pacific Research, which I find to be an excellent service, by the way, is talking about that there's a high probability of beans falling between November 5th and slightly into the future. So it'll be interesting, will they be right, and you, that we get that last push down for those lows? But you did think, Larry, that we may have seen the actual low in terms of numbers.
There is a possibility we have seen it. The reason I'm going with that is because Brazil, Argentina are having a change in weather now. This is part of the 13-month dry cycle, which started last August 18th. And they will go to about September 11th of next year. And every major agricultural area of the world is going to be affected by it, including we here in the Midwest. So anybody who wants to buy futures, pick your spots closely. But I do.
You got to answer the question too, my friend. Best trade.
Best trade.
What do we buy?
Soybeans and corn.
Do we buy futures or options? I have a question. Let's talk. You're both betting on that the grain market's going to bottom. You know, the hardest thing with futures is you have to be exactly right. The margin works for you and against you. With options, at least, and I'm not saying whether they're rich in premium or not. I'm not talking theoretics there. I'm talking with an option, at least, you buy a zone. You're paying X amount of money for both, if you will, price movement and time value. It's a combination of the two. Is for the way that you trade, possibly for the long pull, as you're talking the long-term trades, an option a better purchase than a futures in this type of instance?
Well, from my point of view, is the futures would be better, and the reason for that is options are the most. You want to trade options if you believe a fast move is coming. It's going to move quickly because of the time value and the premium and all of that. And if you're looking at a bottom, usually you have at least a second or third opportunity to purchase after the bottom has been made in the market, and there's some confirmation of the bottom. So relative to options is, I usually recommend you don't look to buy when you believe the bottom and the move is originally beginning, but wait till it's had a rally, some kind of setback, some confirmation that a bottom's been made.
Do you like to just buy options, by the way, or buy one option right at one that's out of the money against it and take in the premium and cut the risk on it, or do you just like to be long the option?
From my own point of view, just long the option.
Okay. I second that, too. I would tend to lean towards the option for the shorter-term people who cannot afford the risk of maybe being long and maybe jumping in too soon. In this case, I would buy a March option in soybeans, because if Brazil, Argentina are going to have the real dry spell, and they've already got a 16-week dry spell in some of the places around Uruguay. this case, the main move will take place by before mid-February.
Okay, well, that's good. Any further questions for my panel? Bill?
Want to play the
You know, your trading rules, the way that we're talking, do you cover it all, whether you should use options, futures, or any ideas like that?
I was thinking of like a wheat-corn spread as a way to minimize...
Long wheat, short corn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? It's a spread to neutralize risk.
That's possible. I played that for a little bit.
But not your
and
bullish.
It came out about neutral.
Neutral, yeah. Okay.
All right, well, I've got 1 minute left here, and in that last minute, let me again go over what you can receive. First off, precious metals timing report in detail. By the way, a lot of charts here so that you can see what the metal markets are doing. For you gold bugs, another thought process on the gold. And let's face it, with what's going on in the Mideast, if you're not interested in gold, then you're not a gold bug at this point in time. There's something wrong. Next, the 3F forecast. What about you people that are used to the grain markets, looking for seasonal lows? And for those of you who like to talk El Nino, this whole article covered the El Nino effect that I happen to read, what he thinks is going to happen with it, how to take advantage possibly. 1-800-284-6000. Simply give us a call. My panelists, I want to thank you. Thank you, my guest. We'll see you all next week with another edition of Stocks, Options, and Futures.
If you would like a free copy of today's guests' investment newsletters, call toll-free now 1-800-284-6000. In California, call 1-800-284-3010. These investment newsletters contain timely investment advice and specific recommendations. There's no cost or obligation, so call now, 1-800-284-6000. In California, call 1-800-284-3010.
We have an interview at this time we'd like to share with you again from Coach Andy Piazza as he assesses the St. Joe team that is playing here tonight.
St. Joe is one of those teams that's very difficult to play. They've had only average success the last few years. They've been 500 or a little bit above or a little bit below. Yet last year, the last two games of the year, they beat Southern Indiana and Kentucky Wesleyan, both national ranked, both went to the tournament. Obviously, Wesleyan won the whole thing last year, and St. Joe beat them last two games. So their kids still play hard. They're very patient. And I think the one thing that they have going for them Saturday, it's going to be Bill Hogan's last game coaching there. He's the head basketball coach and athletic director, and he was just named this past week as the athletic director at the University of San Francisco, the big-time Division I program on the West Coast there. So it's going to be maybe an emotional time for the kids, and I think obviously that he means a lot to that program and to the players that have played for him, and he was recruited all these years. So I'm sure they'll have added incentive to send him out a winner, even though it's going to be at our place. So I anticipate even more problems with St. Joe than usual.
As you see with play resuming with an impressive play, the alley-oop slam dunk as Mark Scheidler put the ball down through the hoop.
He went upstairs and got that one, Dave.
He certainly did. Well, we just remarked that he's a good athlete, good ball player, and from not very far away here. Probably has some hometown fans watching him here tonight as Mike Pittman again hits a three. Might take this opportunity, Charlie, to pass along our congratulations to two of the lady Mastodons from the women's basketball program who just this week were named to the All Great Lakes Valley Conference team. Lisa Miller made the first team and Robin Scott the second team, so congratulations to those two young ladies.
And also congratulations should go out to Coach Terry Rosinski. She's doing a great job with that Lady Don basketball team since she's been here. Just done a spectacular job, along with Coach Piazza, turning both of these programs around, doing a great job.
The Lady Mastodons finished 19-9 this year, and were probably just a game or two away from perhaps their second straight appearance back in the NCAA, but they have another opportunity next go-around, but congratulations.
Shiler's got a lot of confidence. He didn't play. He wasn't looking for the shots in the first half, but I guess it's easy to look for shots when you're getting spectacular dunks like he's been getting in the second half. And he's found the confidence, and he's looking for the ball right now.
And he seems to get into the flow of things a little bit more when Mike Koski is not in there. Mike plays that inside a lot. Clarence Rich with the three-pointer. Sean Gibson might have had a chance at the rebound, but went up a little early that time. Rodney Gates with the ball. Inside, down the middle, Kevin McGuff gets his field goal. And all of a sudden that lead goes back down to 82-57. A little less than 6.5 minutes to play here in the second half as the IPFW Mastodons seek to close out their season with a Great Lakes Valley Conference win. Victory number 16, they hope, as we have an errant pass, and now Clarence Rich has to try to stop 3 St. Joe players, and by golly, he did it. And came up with the ball and then throws it away.
Clarence in the bottom of the rim made the defensive play.
He got a little help, didn't he? He did throw it away, but at least he got it back out of the territory where he was going to have some help on the defense next time around.
Clarence struggling a little bit tonight.
St. Joe with the ball, trailing by 15 points and 6 minutes to play. Good defense that time by Sean Gibson on that corner trap that Charlie's been describing for us a lot tonight. Shot goes up, no good, tip back out, and St. Joe controls the ball for a new shot clock. A fresh 45 seconds. Lob inside, Mark Liebert. Not Mark Liebert, Mark Scheidler, I'm sorry. And we have an IPFW timeout. Been some mini streaks in this game, Charlie, and this latest one has belonged to St. Joe.
And this basketball game is not over by any stretch of the imagination, Dave. These Pumas are getting they're getting some confidence, and getting back into this basketball game is in a Don. This is a good time out for them to get back into the flow of things and get the lead back up.
They sure have. Well, we invite the audience, Charlie, to tune in to Channel 6 this Sunday evening at 7 p.m. to watch the taped replay from February 20th's men's volleyball match with Ball State. The Cardinals challenged IPFW's Mastodons in Midwest Intercollegiate Volleyball Association conference action. And at 9 p.m., Channel 6 presents the taped replay of the Kentucky Wesleyan at Owensboro. That's right. Right here on Channel 6 this Sunday evening. Forget the graphic, go by what we just told you.
Kentucky Wesleyan versus the Dons.
IPFW quickly down the floor. Andy Liebert goes to the hole again. He misses it. Comes up short. St. Joe quickly down the floor. Quickly down and looking for a three. And we see Todd Grace with 3, and we have that lead down to 10 points with just over 15 minutes to play. IPFW needs a score. Great hustle underneath there by Todd Grace. Young man's played a terrific second half here, and not a bad first half.
Yes, he has a great floor game, not just his scoring. He's played a good floor game, getting the other players involved in this basketball game, running the court.
Dwayne Shears with 3 out of the corner, and it was down and in and then back out. Should have been worth 2 as far down as it went, but we see a foul called on Sean Gibson.
Again, we saw Dwayne Shears with his feet set. Again, you said we should give him at least 2 points for going so far into the basket, as you stated, Dave. Great shooter when he gets his feet set, though, and that time it just went in and out on him.
Interesting point of the game, Charlie, because IPFW just committed its 10th foul, which means every time they foul, St. Joe's going to have 2 free throws, regardless of the situation of the foul. And here they could, with 5 minutes and 1 second to go, cut this lead down to 8 points.
That's again one of those new rules coming into play there, Dave.
Mark Scheidler eyes the free throw and hits it. So he'll have number 2 coming right up. And he hits it. He shoots a pretty flat free throw, but he got them both to go dead center. So it's 82-74. And interestingly enough, foul called on St. Joe, but that's only their 5th foul of the half, and only, I think, maybe had 4 in the first half. So IPFW is not going to be likely to shoot a lot of free throws. And so we're going to have, kicked ball, reset the shot clock. IPFW is going to take a 3rd shot now at getting the ball inbounds and bringing it down court.
This press by St. Joe giving the Dons a little trouble at the moment.
That time they got Doug Reinke to come down. Now Dwayne Shears pushed it in that time. Maybe that's what Coach Piazza wants him to do. On the other hand, he could have held it up and started working on the clock.
Number 21, Rodney Gates, his 3rd personal foul, the team's 6th.
Since he didn't work on the clock, I'd say it's a pretty good bet that he'd better hit a free throw or 2 here.
There's a situation, if you don't have the open layup, I think you do pull it back out, Dave. It's not that you're trying to hold the ball back or stall, but right there you just didn't have a clear shot to the basket.
And he misses the first free throw. So number 2 coming up. And Dwayne hits the second. Nine-point lead. 4 minutes and 48 seconds left to play, and IPFW puts on the full court pressure defense. But St. Joe has absolutely no trouble with that press and gets the 2-point layup. And here we have the foul called, and this, I think, will now put St. Joe into the bonus situation. Dwayne Shears will go back to the line, this time with an opportunity to shoot the bonus 1-1. 7-point IPFW lead.
Dwayne only a 66% shooter from the free throw line, but he hasn't had many opportunities in his defense.
But he drops the first one, and we'll get this opportunity for the second. And he hits 2. A couple of big points for the Mastodons. Push the lead back to 9. IPFW now exerting full court pressure. St. Joe handling the ball and coming across. Todd Grace gets the 2.
Wasn't quite the way the Pumas designed it, but they'll take the 2 points.
That's right. It was effective. Dwayne Shear with a great rebound, fake, and then put the ball back up. So the IPFW Mastodons able to keep that lead at 9. Just under 4 minutes to play. And this time, as Todd Grace made his move toward the basket, Dwayne Shears couldn't quite keep up. Got a half step behind and is called for the foul. We'll see the replay coming up here as Dwayne Shears has just fouled out. Foul number 5. Probably one of Dwayne's better performances of the year, Charlie.
I would definitely say his second best performance. His first and best foremost performance was about a couple of weeks ago against Bellarmine.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but again, a great performance tonight by Dwayne. And what we saw from Dwayne, along with Andy Liebert tonight, the fact that they were going to the basket strongly and looking aggressive and looking for the offensive parts of their basketball games.
Todd Grace steps up and hits that first.
Dwayne had 18 points this evening.
Had a good night. Good night. Back to a 7-point lead, 87-80. 3 minutes, 57 seconds to play. No call as Sean Gibson got absolutely decked in the backcourt. Clarence Rich got in where it's awfully tight. We have a tied ball. The alternate possession will go to the St. Joe Pumas. St. Joe very aggressive at the moment, Charlie, just going after everything, every loose ball. IPFW dropping back now into their half-court defense.
And you have to give these Pumas all the credit in the world, Dave. We stated at what point in the basketball game what they had to do to get back in the game, and they've done just exactly what they had to do. And thusly, they're pretty much right back in this game.
St. Joe on the move. Using a lot of the shot clock this time, which is a little surprising, but we see that move and that drive to the basket. And Todd Grace has been doing that all second half. He draws the foul from John Honstrider, and he goes to the line.
And again, he's been the catalyst this second half for the Pumas, Dave. He's come in, ignited the team, got the ball. Two of the guys he's had to get the ball to, and when those guys recovered, he's went to the basket and scored, and to the free throw line and scored the points when he's had to.
And for one of his few misses at the line, I think, he just had that free throw rim around and drop out. Well, as we saw the replay on that foul, John Honstrider did not get cheated on that one. So we have a 6-point lead for the IPFW Mastodons, and they're struggling here to handle that press. Sean Gibson with the ball. Back out to Mike Pittman. Senior Mike Pittman playing his last 3 minutes of action here as an IPFW Mastodon. And Tony Martin fouled by Kevin McGuff. Tony will have an opportunity to step to the line for the 1-and-1. Mike Pittman's going up saying, Mike, come on, buddy, you can do it. Give us a couple right here.
And Tony's not shot all that well this year on the free throw line. In one of his better games a couple of weeks ago against Ashland, he didn't shoot that well from the free throw line at all. As we see him knock down the first free throw, which is very encouraging. Tony, only a 44% shooter on the year. Again, in his defense also, he's not shot that many on the year.
Well, two right here would help his percentage a whole lot, as well as to help the IPFW Mastodons. And we have an 89-81 lead for the Mastodons here now with just a little over 2 minutes and 30 seconds to play. And there we go. Todd Grace having a tremendous game. I'm not sure whether Todd is a senior or not. But if he is a senior, he's going out in great style.
Yes.
Mike Pittman with the ball. 2 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. A 6-point lead for the IPFW Mastodons. And we have a foul called this time against Damon White.
Personal foul on the Pumas, number 15, Damon White.
Clarence Rich will go to the line to shoot the 1-and-1. One more foul on the Pumas, and we'll be shooting 2 each time up there.
Yeah, sometimes just a couple of minutes ago, the fouls were 10-4 in favor of St. Joe, and those fouls just have a way of evening out before the half or the game ends.
I didn't think we'd ever get to the point of shooting 2, but it's coming up. And there we saw a little exchange underneath as we're inside the 2-minute mark now with 1:53.
Well, with this situation, Dave, excuse me, you have to figure the Pumas are going to catch up in fouls because they're behind.
That's right, and they had to try to get that ball and put IPFW at the line because IPFW is not a great free throw shooting team. And there we have a foul called on the Mastodons against Mark Scheidler before he took the shot. So he'll be shooting 2 at the line. Mark Scheidler at the line, shooting the first of 2. And he drops it in. And it's a 5-point game.
He's working on a good basketball game himself, Dave. Working on his 17th point if he can knock this free throw down.
Most of which have come in the second half, I think. A great second half for him. And IPFW is going to have to come down now and get that ball set and get it moving. And they're also going to have to defensively get a stop in here before this game is over. Mike Pittman wisely pulls the ball back, takes a look, didn't have a wide open move to the basket, so he's looking to see if there isn't Clarence Rich in the corner with a three. Oh my, no rebound, and here comes St. Joe with an opportunity to cut into that 4-point lead.
Clarence is wide open, but that still may have been an ill-advised shot at this juncture in the basketball game, Dave.
Now it's time to play some defense and to keep St. Joe out there because we're nearing the 1-minute mark. And they're a great steal. You talk about defense, couldn't have come at a better time. Tony Martin slams the ball down, and now that 6-point lead.
Great steal and finish by Tony Martin.
And a flying rebound by Mark Scheidler. I mean, flying rebound. Puts the ball back in, and we have a 4-point ball game. 91-87, 48 seconds to go. Charlie, these two teams get together. They never, ever play an easy one.
Again, yeah, it looked like just about halfway through the basketball game, Dave. We thought this was going to be a blowout by the Mastodons, and here we are again at a barn burner.
And here we have tonight senior Mike Pittman playing his last game, and he had an interview that we'd like to share with you at this time.
Yeah, I definitely do. I've got a business started right now, which in the past month or so, Coach was getting on to me at the beginning of the year because he said I was I'll use different terminology, but I was wasting away a good opportunity with my final year of basketball because I was so focused on my business and sort of trying to make a little bit of money on the side. But I sort of put that in the back seat for a while, and I haven't worked on that for the last couple of months at all. So I'm anxious once my basketball career is over as far as college goes to get back involved with that, and then once I get done with my classes probably next year sometime, then something will go from there, and hopefully I'll get a job in a Southern California, Arizona area, someplace like that where I can enjoy the weather all year round instead of being bundled up through half the months like you need to be in the Midwest.
Back into the action, and on that first play we saw a tipped pass go out of bounds. First of all, an indication that it might be St. Joe ball, but then the referee realized he just pointed the wrong direction. He knew he wanted the White to have the ball. He knew that White should have the ball. Mike Pittman with the ball coming down now, and 40 seconds to go in this ball game. Doug Ranke, Sean Gibson, Clarence, and we'll see on the call here what they want to make, but it was Todd Grace, number 4 for St. Joe, calling the play. And we'll see Clarence Rich stepping to the line this time to shoot 2, since we're now over the limit and into the 10th foul rule for St. Joe College.
And we hope Clarence stays in there, as we just saw the replay. Hope he stays in there and shoots those free throws.
And there's the first one. Big free throw.
Bend those legs and follow through, Clarence.
Number 2 on its way. He hits them both. 6 points, 32 seconds. IPFW in the lead. St. Joe beginning to get down to the desperation time. And a great defensive move by Clarence that time, knocking the ball loose.
Again, those quick hands by Clarence Rich, getting a hand on that basketball.
Shot clock will not be a factor. And there was a 3-point attempt, and Clarence Rich comes up with the rebound, and Clarence draws another foul. So he'll have another opportunity to go to the free throw line.
Personal foul on St. Joe number 32, Mark Scheidler. His first personal foul.
And interestingly enough, Mark Scheidler just drew his first foul. For a pretty active basketball player, he hasn't had foul difficulties tonight.
Very active and aggressive.
St. Joe lineup number 12, Trent Smith, in for number 32.
And I don't know whether Coach Hogan is conceding or not, but he's making a couple of substitutions here to probably get some seniors their last action. I say probably because we can't tell from the program that was given to us here tonight what the class standing is for these St. Joe Pumas. Clarence hits 1 out of 2, but at this stage of the game, they'll take every one they can get. Because with 18 seconds to go and a 7-point lead, Sean Gibson made that play as difficult as he could, but didn't foul, which was good. 5-point lead, 11 seconds. St. Joe calls the timeout, but it's strictly to stop the clock.
Yeah, no strategy. They know what they want to do, or know what they have to do, as a matter of fact.
And they'll have to foul one more time, but I don't believe there's enough time for them to come up with a miracle finish. Clarence Rich is going to be the man at the line.
Clarence hasn't played all that well tonight, but he's kind of getting his average up with all these free throws he's hit in the last minute or so.
And although he hasn't hit them all, he's hit enough of them to keep this thing from getting out of hand. Clarence hits the first one.
And I think with that free throw, I think, Dave, we can safely name our Dandy Don player of the game at this moment. And my vote goes to the lone senior on this Mastodon basketball team, Mike Pittman.
And I'd have to agree with you 100%. As we see there on that missed free throw, Clarence Rich kept it alive. Tony Martin put it in, and we have a final score of IPFW 97, St. Joe College 89, as the Mastodons finish their season 5th place finisher, in the top division of the GLVC, and St. Joe College, I believe, finishes at 8th. Well, it was an exciting ball game, Charlie, probably more so than IPFW wanted it to be in the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Exactly. We had a 20-point lead, Dave. I thought it was going to be, a blowout, but you have to give out these St. Joe Pumas a lot of credit. They got back into this basketball game and made it very interesting towards the end. And as we will go down and talk with Mike Pittman, our player of the game, our Dandy Don player of the game, Mike Pittman.
I was going to take a job with an engineering firm in New York. I got a better offer. I'm building schools overseas with the Peace Corps. The pace is a little slower than New York, but here I'm getting grassroots experience I couldn't get anywhere else. The way I look at it, the world can wait 2 years for another 40-story smoked glass high-rise.
Peace Corps, the toughest job you'll ever love.
Randy Travis on strings. Branford Marsalis on the horn. Paul Schaefer on keys. Carly Simon on lead. There are a lot of different parts to play in the American Red Cross. Play your part.
Every year, thousands of people are killed with a frying pan. Reduce your intake of high-fat fried foods and help reduce your risk of cancer and heart disease. For a free booklet on low-fat eating, call 1-800-EAT-LEAN.
From the McGruff Files, the Philadelphia story. In certain parts of Philadelphia, things were rough. Areas were run down, crime and drugs were out of hand, and honest folks felt like prisoners in their own homes. People decided to work with police to turn things around. Weekly meetings led to cleanup projects and folks working together. Soon the neighbors had their neighborhood back. That's what happens when people and police work together. Write this down and I'll show you how you can help take a bite out of crime.
No, I guess they knew.
Well, welcome back to the IPFW Athletic Center, where we are celebrating the finish of the season with a great victory by IPFW tonight. And at this time, we would like to have you join us with Charlie Washington as he interviews our Dandy Don player of the game, senior Mike Pittman.
Charles Washington right here, along with our Dandy Don player of the game, Mike Pittman. Mike, in his last basketball game as a Mastodon, a wonderful 2 years here with the Dons. And Mike, tell us about this basketball game tonight, first of all, and then reflect back on your 2 years here with the Dons.
Well, at the start of tonight's game, we walked in and our locker room was all decorated up by one of our fans, you know, and they just wanted to show their appreciation for coming out here and watching us play, and that sort of got us boosted up for the last game. Although we knew that we were going to be not participating in the tournament, you know, sometimes people might think it's hard for us to get in here and get up for the game, but that sort of helped inspire us to know that the fans do appreciate us enough to go out of their way to do something like that. So that sort of took care of the first half. As far as being motivated for the second half, we came out and I don't know exactly what our team's intentions were, other than letting them back in the ball game and maybe giving the fans something to enjoy other than a boring game. So maybe I'll use that as an excuse for keeping the fans enthused in the game and still coming out with a victory in the end.
Now, you've had 2 great years here with the Dons. Very consistent basketball player. Just tell us about some of your leadership capabilities and how far you've come along from your junior year all the way through your senior year here.
Well, my junior year here, Lawrence Jordan Biggs, he took care of the leadership role, you know, real well. I can't even say enough for how he led the team, and I didn't really understand it as much until I got into sort of that type of role this year. Coach was on my case a lot because I wasn't leading the team. I think, because I can say it now because my career is over with here. But I guess I just wasn't being a leader in the type of leadership role he wanted me to be in. You know, I believe that there's all different types of leaders. You don't have to be in a rut of one particular personality in order to be a leader, and I guess he and I had a conflict throughout most of the beginning of the year, and towards the end of the year, you know, I started having some good games and tried to lead the team in the way my own personality would do so, and I think he sort of understood that a little bit more, and that helped his and I relationship go a little bit smoother than it was at the beginning of the year, and I think it helped out at least my play, and hopefully I'd like to think it helped out the team's play too.
Now, a little bit past midway point of the season, you guys were 10-10, and a lot of people had written you off, and then you came back and beat 2 nationally ranked basketball teams and finished very strong on this basketball season.
Yeah, at the beginning of the year, you know, we started off with a couple of defeats that we thought definitely we should have had against some lower division teams, you know, that we just didn't play well. They did play well, and that sort of thing happens whenever you don't play good basketball. Sure. So the season, you know, it sort of just roller coastered up there and down for a while. We got 8 straight victories, and we got on a roll, and then we just hit a bad slump again. So whenever we were 10-10, it was like we either could waste the rest of the season away, or we could just bear down and do something. And some things started happening for us, and we started playing playing good basketball the second half of Wesleyan. And from then on, we just seemed to take care of some business. You know, we believed in ourselves. I think we had an attitude problem maybe there whenever to get to the 10-10 position. I think we might have lost a little bit of confidence in ourselves. And then once some things started going for us, we got our I'm lost for words on this one.
Act together?
Sort of, yeah, our act together. We got some confidence, and things started to take care of themselves. You know, out of the last 3 games, we dropped a couple, and I really don't have any reasons and/or excuses for that, other than just we weren't back. Our heads weren't back in the game again. Maybe we got a little bit cocky and got our britches. You know, we got it right back where we needed it in order to straighten us up for this last game. But coming out of here with a win tonight, you know, that makes the rest of the summer for the guys go well. As I know last year with the defeat with Ashland, our last game of the year, it made the summer go a lot better mentally for us, working hard and that type of thing. So hopefully this game will do the same thing for the team next year.
Great. Well, Mike, congratulations, first of all, on a great basketball game, a great basketball season, a great 2 years and career at IPFW. It's been a joy watching you play and call games, talking about those great passes through the legs of people and how you antagonize some of the opposing players. It's been a joy to watch you, and good luck in your future endeavors, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I've really enjoyed the 2 years that I've spent here. It's been a real good experience for me also, and I'm real happy to be a part of this organization.
Thank you. Our Dandy Down player of the game, Mike Pittman, playing his last game here for the Dons.
Congratulations to Mike Pittman, again, on a fine career.